Hi Elijah, you might not be able to tell, but this is the third time I've tried to record this. Anyway, okay, I've decided to do a little video because the processes and all the little things involved are very hard to write down. Basically, it's often why it's not really written down or hard to understand, so I'm going to show you instead. So I'm going to use my avatar itself. Starting off, I'm going to select it. So we're going to make the initial toggle itself. I'll take you through each one as I go through. So click on the avatar. We want to bring up the avatar descriptor. Within the avatar descriptor, we have the expressions. Within expressions, we have parameters itself. This is our starting point. The parameter which we're going to use throughout the process to link everything together. So this is quite the important one. Starting off, we want to define what it is and keep this name, for example. So that's a long name as well. Whatever it is, you need to make sure that the text matches. And if you have two different states of a horizontal or vertical, that will be relevant later on. For horizontal or vertical, you need both states as well. Make sure that the names always match. So we're going to make our initial parameter. I'll make one but then delete it. So I'm going to redo brush as it was. So we want to click on add, top of the parameter there, it will click on add, it will copy the last one, it doesn't matter what it is, it will copy and duplicate the name. So for example, it is brush itself. You could define that name, but that is important that you use that later on in the stage. So we want to define it as a float. I use floats, they're very versatile and can be applied to different toggles, radials, or other ways of activating the animation. So step one, in your parameters, make the parameter itself and set it to float. Just going to remove that. So hey, we've made our parameter, we've made brush. I'm going to click back on the avatar itself, which will bring us out the menu system. Working up again, we've made our parameter. We want to go to then the menu itself. So on our radial menu, double clicking that to go into it. And if you haven't got one, you'd right click and make a controller and go from there. So you get a controller which will be either blank or with other content on it. You can add control. Adding the control itself, this is what you're going to see on your radial puppet within VRchat itself. This will come up as a toggleable, selectable, or actionable function. New controller, you need to change the name. You can put this name to whatever you want to. You put your name in and define what it actually is. In this case, we're going to go through and make a toggle, an on-off function. So you'd select toggle in itself. And under parameters within the toggle, parameters just at the bottom, you need to add in the one you made at the very start. This is going to be the defining function of what it would do. It will link everything together. So so we've created now what will be our toggle function for yourself. We've defined its name, we're told what type of action it is and what controls it. In this case, I'm just going to remove that. So again, I have various ones. So now we've set those up, we want to actually create the animations and the functions within the avatar itself. So under the effects, which will be the very top layer, the one which will affect everything below it, which is all these are below it. So this one here will activate anything you put on it on top of everything else. So under the effects, click on it once. You'll highlight the name in your projects menu. Double click that or double click it to activate it, to open it up anyway. To open it up onto the controller itself. You may end up on this page here, parameters and layers. These are the two you'll be using. Under your parameters, this is where you need the exact same name. Click on the little plus symbol at the very top. Set exactly the same as what is at the start, which is a float. If it's an integer, boolean, a boolean, a trigger, a trigger. You know, they've got to match. So we want to make it a float this time. so they match the very start one. I've done this for brush already, so this is a float. All these are actually floats. And then that's it, we're done with this part of the page. I'm going to go back to the top here where it says parameter and click on layers next to that. Under the layer again, you won't have anything here or not the one you want here. We want to click on the little plus symbol again, and that will create us a new controllable layer. We can define that name. That name can be whatever you want, but I tend to keep them the same just for avoid any inconsistency issues. So you set your name, what it is, forgot, and then we want to activate that layer. It will set to 0. This is important. Without that active, it will not work. You can make it and it can be there, but it will not work. You need to activate that to 1. Hey, activate to 1. Good. So we've now defined our we've defined the name of it, we've activated it to 1, and now we need to add in the animations. Yours will be blank except for these two here, but yours will be blank. So we need to either make the animation or drag and drop in the animations. In this case, I'll just go through making one. So hey, it's blank in here, we need an animation. I'm going to click on the avatar itself, right click it and duplicate. Right click, duplicate the avatar itself. We want to keep our main one protected, and our animation one, we can fuck around with that, and if it breaks, it's okay, it's a duplicate. So we need to hide our initial avatar, which will be whatever name is minus the number at the back, like mine's multiple duplicates, so it's got numbers all over it. So we want to hide the very first avatar. Select the second avatar and go to scene itself, which will have your avatar in its default state. Just make sure it's selected. We want to go to window at the very top, and we need to go to animation itself. We need to make the animation. So go to animation and animation. Whee! Magic. If you don't get this window popping up or somewhere around your screen itself, if you go to where it says projects, probably console, projects and console at least, all the way to the right, you got these little lines in the drop down menu. Click on that one and open up the new tab itself, tab of animation. Again, you can have multiple of the same tab, which you can do stuff in, of course, but we want the animation one. Clicked on the name, we've gone to the window, we've gone to animation, and hey presto, we have this. So we want to make sure again the avatar is highlighted. We want to click on create animation itself. So put the animation wherever you want to in your file system, and in mine it's just within the add-ons. Again, I've got all these. So these are my test ones earlier, but these are obviously my animation states. Brush on, brush off. So I'm going to create new ones just to not mess around with my originals. So we need to figure out what animation we actually want to make first. And in this case, we're going to make the object on animation first. There's a reason why it's going to end up as the object on animation first. Just want to make sure of that. Yeah. So put in the name, blah, 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 on. Or active, or whatever you want to define it as the active state. In our duplicated avatar, with our object added in the position where we want it, and marked as hidden, hopefully. Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's going to be the difference. Yours may be on show or yours may be hidden. In this case, I'm going to go for the hidden one, but don't panic if it's on show. You can just watch this and then reverse the process. It's damn near identical. Again, don't worry about it too much. Damn near identical. But I'm going to do the activation one, so I need to find my object. So yours may be active, yours may be deactivated. Either way, click on the record function, click on the object you want to mess with, click on the record function here, preview record, click on the record. Don't panic if your avatar moves around, it's fine. So now we've activated the record function itself. Each one of these little dots and lines is a measurement of time, and we're just going to do something and it's going to record it as we go along. So we have the brush itself, or the object itself. The recording is ready to record an action on the screen. So if we toggle or click on this, bang, there we go. We've now recorded an action and a function. That is a recording made of what it is we want to actually do. Again, yours may be already active and you just made yours invisible. That's your off state. And then we're going to go through the off state itself, or the on state. We need to stop the recording, done and done. And again, this is a duplicated avatar, so you have to worry about it too much. I'm going to click on the name again, click on where it says controller, and that controller we don't need anymore. So I'm going to click away from animation onto projects and just identify this duplicated unnecessary file. Nope, that one's gone. So yours will be likely active if you've added it and you wanted to see where it was. Again, it's the same process. Click on the name, window, animation. The little box will come up. We'll click on create the animation, and this will be object off or non-visible. And yep. So that's going to be our thing. It's going to be active, and this may be where you are at the start, where it's on show. So yep, there it is. And again, click on the record function. Click on the record, make sure it's on that. So you've got red around the screen, it's more like noticeable. And then turn off or hide the the brush or the object itself, not the whole avatar. So there we are. Now that's hidden away. So that will be our off animation. And stop recording. Go back to default state. Now, with this duplicated avatar, we don't need that anymore. We've created the animations of the on and off. So we can get rid of the duplicates, but we're going to get rid of the old file first. Go to controllers. Click on the name, onto projects, and it will highlight it. Again, this just stops any leftover crap lying around. And delete that one. Once we've deleted that, the animation state will return back to normal, but we've made the recording. And yeah, get rid of the duplicate avatar itself. And go back to the original one. Okay, so we went through parameters, we put it on the menu, we're now still working on the effects. What animation, where, and what's going to activate it. So click on the effects. Should take us back to our animated page at the top here. And again, yours will be blank. You've just made it and you've just activated it. Make sure the way you set it, definitely 1. The 2 animations that you've just made are EPDs, wherever the hell they are within mine. Right, there we are. So yes, so the 2 animations that we've just made, first we want the off state. Off state to be the initial, and that's the initial state. We want everything off or non-visible or such. We're then going to drag in our on state, which will give us these 2 little boxes, 2 different colors, but no connections in the middle just yet. So click on the orange box, right click, and make transition. Right click, make transition, and connect it to the the end object or the object activated window. Congratulations, that's 1/2 done. Right click on the grey part, make transition, and bring it back. So we're going to take a little line and bring it back to the animation. Now, we're not done just yet on these. This is where the little details come into it. Click on the up arrow, which is going to be from off to on. Now, you'll get most of this, but not all of it, okay? So has exit time, take that off. Untick it. So it has exit time, it has no tick, of course. And under conditions, yours will be blank. Just at the bottom here, you've got conditions. Click on the plus symbol, which will add a condition and the reason why it's activated or what's activating it. In this case, brush. Happy days. We're going to select that and then change the next option to a value. So we want greater. The first one's going to be greater. And let's get rid of that. So greater than 0.9. 0.9, anything greater than 0.9 is a 1, and 1 is on. Like in computer terms, ones and zeros. Hey, so it's going to have a condition, what is going to activate it, and what value is going to trigger it. So it's going to go up into brushes and activate it. We need to do the reverse and return value. So from the brush, from the object on to object off, we're going to click on the down arrow. And again, exit time off. But under the conditions, we need to put again the same condition, trigger, link wire, but put it as less. So anything more will go to this state, anything less will return back to the original state, so 0.1 in this instance. So anything less than 0.1, which is 0, which is our start state. Boop. Off, on, light off. So that's sort of the initial one. Just going back from a rapid roll through, but again, it will all make sense. We want to create a parameter, we set it to float. On our menu system, now we can do a radial puppet in this case. So on our parameters, we have set our menu. So you'll like this one. I have multiple sub menus, but in this initial menu, you'll most likely have the first menu, which will be like this. So, click on the avatar, go to parameter menu. My God, your menu, and you'll have your initial menu. In this case, we're going to do multiple animations within the same file, just as a radial puppet. Yeah, you'll see. So we want to set its name. In this case, we want to do fur. Set it as a radial puppet. This will define everything between 0 and 100. So you could have 100 animations linked to a radial puppet. But with this one, you don't put the parameters as you have the first parameter as blank. Your last parameter, the parameter rotation on a radial puppet, is the important one. That one again is a float. And see there, float. We set that at the very start. And again, that links it all together. So hey, we've done that part of the radial menu. So on your VRchat, when you go to that, you'll have a radial puppet option, to go through. Hey. So like before, we've done that. We want to go to the effects again. Back to the effects. Again, I'm just going through the motions just to make sure. Hey, effects overrider. So we need to define within this one. This is going to be a parameter. Add it in for layer. Add it in. Set weight to 1. Let's say 100, but I set weight to 1, and it's going to be blank. So within this one, this is a blend tree. So it's going to be blank here. Right click, create state, and now create a new blend tree. It will give you this orange box, which you can define its name up here in the corner. Ideally want to. Again, keeping the names the same as the very start. It just helps link everything together. Yeah. So this particular blend tree, which will give you this symbol, it's called that. And if you then double click the blend tree, for example, you'll get this initial state. Nothing else here, just the blend tree, the root, the point at which everything's going to be connected. We'll need to define what type of blend tree it is. In this case, it's a one directional. You'll see why. What parameter it's going to be. Again, we have the name, be it fur in this case. And then within this is where the animations are all brought in. Click on the plus, add a motion field, and you can probably add a few of them usually. Adding a few of them brings up, this type of lattice that brings everything together. So this is a radial puppets control system, what it looks like in the background. each one of these will be a recording or a animation you've made, and it will try blend them all together as you move through the value. The red one here shows the value, but it's also down here. So as you toggle through, toggling, well, not toggling, radials, bring your radials around, it's going to try bring these animations up or blend them together depending on what happens. So that's what I've done, but just make sure the blend type is one directional. The parameter, again, what's triggered by it, for example, for that one, you need to set that, need to absolutely set that, or else it won't work. So yep, so we've created the blend tree. I'm going to go back to my original blend tree. Give it a little back arrow just here, very top. So by the end of it, you made your blend tree, and you brought in your animations, which can be just dragged and dropped into these boxes under the motion field. Drag and drop it into the boxes into the order you want, and then it will just fill up the lattice and try blend them all together as you go through. So if you look to the right hand side here, as I go through, it simply selects the appropriate animation. Hey. So that's the version 1 of a radial puppet system. And then going into version 2 of it, we're going to go from the start. Hey, we made that. We're going to do the 18 plus. This is where it's a different system. So 18 plus, or that one anyway, we've clicked on add, we've set it as a float, happy days. We're going to go round to our menu. We're going to put it on a menu wherever we want it, whatever function. In this case, yep, it's a sub menu, but you're going to bring yours up and you're going to have the name. You're going to make a new one, add a new controller, give it the name that you want. Ideally the same one, so it all sticks together. Select a radial puppet and then define under its parameters that parameter and what will activate it. And again, you can mix these up and then we'll try and smash them all together, but it makes it just chaotic. So yeah, in this case I've defined this one. Come out of that again. So we've created our parameter, created our menu where we want it on there. We need to go back to the effects again. And under the effects, this one's a little different. So this is a blend tree, like the original one. This one here, remember, this is a toggle, video off, video on, and connections between it. And this one is a blend tree, a blend of files together. Now this version, this is literally me learning and evolving, as you see within these three animations. So this is also a blend tree. Right click, create state, create a new blend tree, give it a name, which then they don't have to entirely match up, but it just helps. And these anyway, it's okay. So within the blend tree itself, this is a more complex one. Now this one, because instead of, as you can see, I've only got one video, or one recording, or one video as it was, of all the different states. It's all condensed into one rather tedious to do recording, instead of having multiple individual recordings all brought together. The only defining thing about this is under, once you've made it, set your parameters, define your name, then you create the layer itself, give that a name, set the weight up, and then make a blend tree. Under this one, not sure why, but it's activated through normalized time. So this one, this is a blend tree as well. This blend tree is not done through normalized time. There's basically no option for it because it's took all these values and stuck it together. With these ones, this single recording, like a video, you have a time scale used rather than a value. So you normalize time, normalize by what normalizes the time, so that's your parameter, and then click that, and then going into the file itself, we've made our blend tree. Right click, make blend tree. This is the blend tree itself. In this one, The first one was one directional. We have multiple animations brought together is one directional. Within this one, it's direct. So this single file direct, set that under the blend type. Under your motion, which is the actual recording itself. Okay. As you see, I had all individual ones here, but now I've got one single file. So you drag and drop it into place, set your parameter, again, not repeated processes and steps, but you're connecting all the wires together. So you set your parameter again, and then that's that done. So this recording, this is a bit of a tedious one. I'm going to show you it, but to create it itself is a bit of a pain in the butt. But it just streamlines visually, at least, everything. So when I click on the video, go to animation. Instead of having individual animations, which is what these could effectively be, these are now one big animation, just individual recording points. You should have saw the one for the 19 points for the Mama Gen with 19. That was a mess. Really good though, I did it under 13 layers. So yeah, with this one, it's a similar process of making an animation. Duplicate the avatar, go to Window, start the recording process, click on Record, define its name. And again, when the window is active, you then just go through your menu like before, making, for example, objects visible or not visible on the avatar will record you making it visible or not visible. Much like, oh, is this my PC version? Oh, let's look at that. I think I broke something. Missing the naughty stuff. Yeah, so yeah, in fact it is. This is really annoying. Okay. I know this is the this is the Quest version, so of course it's removed. But this one will have the functions for, you know, activating orifices and blah blah blah, for example. So initially I want all of them off, so I would have all of them on and then record, and then go through them systematically and record, right click or just click on the object and then hide it again, and then that will record an off state. In this instance, instead of changing recording, we just change the value here. We change this to a 1, which will move the focus across to the next scene, but you still have to click on the little diamond at the top here. This again is a bit tedious. Click on the diamond at the top, so you've got the line and the blue diamond selected. And then as you go through turning things on and off, it will record what you do and create that new state. So again, all was off, and then moved the scene. I've activated the penis, the object 1. That is that scene. I then change the value to a 2. So I've moved across again. As you can see there, I just have the left and right hand activated, and the PP is now off. And it's actually still on, believe it or not. It's actually still on. It's just not recorded any change from that state. So you'll end up with diamonds all everywhere. And this one again is all is active, which is kind of weird. I know it may look all active, but it's recorded a state change. So in this case, that's off, for example. So it doesn't interfere, but the front is on. Yeah, front is on, back is on, and also mouth and left and right. So basically, yeah, all active on that one. This one's a little different too, but I'm not sure why. Sometimes it doesn't want to show me these things. But click on the blue. Yeah, I've done that for a reason. It works. Oh, unless I fucked up and not realised it until now. But yeah, as you go through the numbers, change the number, which will move it along to the different value. Click on the diamond at the top, which is again just blank, it's just somewhere that's selectable. And then make a change, a recorded change on the screen, which will record in animation. You can alter these again if you mess up. It adds an object every time you do it as well, so it only records the things you actually change. And if you do mess up, you can select the individual object and activate it and deactivate it along the way to edit the animation, just in case it goes a bit wrong. But yeah, so let's say you've done that. You've got to the very end. You've now created the final scene, which is, that's it, that's done. Like before, you stop recording, you stop preview, and then that's that recorded video. Delete off the additional controller, which will automatically be up here. And then drag and drop the new recording into the animation slide itself. So we have 3 different types of toggle, which is your float toggle. This is the old school radial system of doing it. Individual recordings stuck together under a normal blend tree. And then this is a time or video based blend tree, hence why the defining thing about there, normalized time must be active to have it. And yes, so this is the more streamlined version of it. But if you fuck this one up, the recording, you delete off that controller because you're not needed anymore, you will have to make the recording again. Just keep that in mind with this one, as I found out the hard way. Streamlined as it is, if you mess up, you have to do the recording again. I can't edit this recording. I've made this myself and initially I had it, but once I clicked away and stopped, it becomes uneditable to me. So yep, you have to make it all over again. So those are the 3 types of animations that I use to make my avatar system. All starting from parameters, going into the menu, into the effects, up and over, duplicate the avatar, create the effect, define its parameters, set the layers, make sure the weight is set to 1, and then within the layers and parameters, define what the hell it is it's actually going to do, and create the animation and link it all together. And then delete off any excess files. All good and well. What we can actually do is functions test it, and I'll do that as a final part of this probably long ass video by now. But I'm going to go to just start the beginning, to scene, click on the exome itself or your avatar. I've just messed around with the effects layer. It does this animation doesn't change. I have to click on project, so I've just messed around with the effects layer. This is my new one now. This is my primary avatar. It's not a duplicate, it's a primary one. So under the effects, that's what I want, that's the file it is. So I'm going to take that effects and drag and drop, unless you already know, drag and drop into the controller. Remember to remove this before you upload it, but you can function test some stuff. So under the effects, I'm going to go into the effects itself. I want this, this one. Actually I'll do fur, just in case I end up releasing this. So I'll go for fur, and I will have this menu activated here. I will use the little lock symbol to lock this part of the screen. Go back to scene itself. So this is all locked and ready for me to drag around. I'll click on play. To put it into its default state. So anything under the effects layer or this one that I am messing around with, it should activate. Watch it probably not work, but if I move this bar across, there we go. So this is basically like a functions test. Even though I have the recording that does this, which you can see in the bottom right here, it's just a recording. I'm actually now physically affecting the avatar within the game environment. So as I scroll through the menu, this is what should happen on a radial puppet, which is what does happen. Blah, 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 blah. Good. I'm going to stop playing that. Unlock this panel, click on the avatar, and then go to the controller and just remove it. Set back to none. So now we've just tested it, we've created it within the recordings and the parameters, tested that the functions work fine. Within here, again, upload it to VR and watch it all just fucking fail. Usual fun and games. But yes, we'll do that. I'm sure you know that process, but hopefully, Elijah, that helps a little bit. Yes, there's a lot of little things. Writing it all down would have been quite difficult because I used multiple states of animation. It might have confused you, but hopefully showing you 99% of the process is the same. Start off with parameters. Create that, create a float, create what type of float or menu system, toggle, radial, or 2-axis puppet. Where on your menu system you want it as well. Then create the effects itself. And create the recording, stick it all together within the parameters based here on the inspector. Keep the names consistent, ideally. Set your weights to 1 and happy days. That should be that. Yeah. I don't do this often. Alright, well, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you later. Bye.